Life will teach you one way or another. The question is, will you pay the small price of discipline now or the much heavier price of regret later? Many people look back and wish they had started sooner. They wish they had saved more, learned faster, invested wiser. But wishing doesn't change the past. Only action changes the future. Now, I was lucky. I had mentors, I had lessons, and I made a decision not just to make money, but to understand it, respect it, and multiply it. Because here's the truth. Most people won't tell you. It's not your age that determines your wealth. It's your philosophy. We don't retire wealthy by accident. We retire wealthy because we followed certain rules. Rules about thinking, spending, saving, and growing. And if you don't follow these rules, life has another way of retiring you. It's called being broke in old age. And that, my friends, is a tragedy. So, today I want to share with you 7 money rules that saved me from going broke. These rules rescued my finances, rebuilt my life, and allowed me to retire not just with comfort, but with confidence. And the good news, it's never too late to start, and it's never too early to learn. Let's talk about how to think rich so you can retire wealthy on your terms, with dignity, and without fear. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way in my early years. It doesn't matter how much money you make if you're always spending more than you bring in. You're digging a hole you may never climb out of. And the tragedy is, most people don't dig that hole overnight. They do it with little shovels, small daily choices that pile up over time. You get a raise, you get a bonus, and the first instinct is to upgrade your lifestyle. A nicer car, a bigger house, fancier clothes. It feels good at the moment because it feeds the ego. But wealth isn't built by feeding the ego. It's built by feeding discipline. Discipline is the seed from which financial freedom grows. Living on less than you earn is not just a strategy, it's a philosophy, a way of life. It's saying to yourself, I respect the future enough to prepare for it. Now, I know how tempting it is to increase expenses every time income goes up. I've seen people do it time and time again. They make $50,000 a year, and they live like they make $60,000. Then they get a raise to $70,000, and suddenly they're spending $80,000. It's a cycle of quiet desperation. You look successful on the outside, but on the inside, you're drowning in payments and debt. I remember when I first started making decent money, I thought, well, now it's time to show it. I bought things I didn't need to impress people who weren't even paying attention. And you know what that got me? A pile of bills, a dose of stress, and no real wealth to show for it. One day I sat down and had a serious conversation with myself. I said, this isn't working. I'm making more but keeping less. That's not success, that's a trap. From that day forward, I made a decision. No matter what I earned, I would live on less. Not because I wanted to live small, but because I wanted to live smart. You see, there's a difference between looking rich and being rich. Looking rich is easy, just spend money. Being rich requires a different mindset. It's about keeping money, multiplying it, investing it. It's about creating a gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth is born. That gap is the difference between freedom and stress. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy your life. I'm not saying live like a miser. What I'm saying is prioritize discipline before pleasure. Take care of your future self before you take care of your ego. It's okay to reward yourself, but make sure the reward is earned and affordable, not financed and regrettable. Think of it like this. If you learn to live well below your means when you're earning a little, you'll never feel scarcity when you're earning a lot. But if you can't control your spending habits now, more money won't solve the problem, it will magnify it. Wealth is not just about addition, it's about subtraction. Subtracting the unnecessary, subtracting the waste, subtracting the bad habits that keep you broke. So start today, make it a rule. Every time your income goes up, let your discipline go up first. Save more, invest more, and spend less than you earn always. One of the greatest lessons life will teach you if you're paying attention is that not all debt is created equal. There's a kind of debt that builds, and there's a kind of debt that destroys. The sad reality is most people only experience the destructive kind because they never learn the difference. Consumer debt, that's the real thief. It's the tax on the undisciplined. It robs people of peace of mind, of options, and of freedom. And the worst part is, it sneaks up slowly. It starts with just one swipe of the card, just one small loan, just one tiny payment you think you can handle. But before long, you're in chains you don't even see until the pressure starts choking you. I've seen it happen to people who had every intention of building wealth. They got lured into the trap of easy credit buy now, pay later. The car that was just a little out of reach? No problem, just stretch out the loan over 7 years. The vacation you can't really afford? Put it on the credit card? The fancy gadget that adds no real value to your life? Finance it with monthly payments. Before you know it, your paycheck is spoken for before it even arrives. You're working not for your goals, but for your creditors. I remember a friend of mine who had a good income but never seemed to get ahead. One day I asked him, "Where does your money go?" He laughed nervously and pulled out a list. Car payment, 2 credit card payments, personal loans, store cards, phone payment, furniture payment, the list went on. It wasn't that he didn't earn enough, it was that he had already spent next month's income last month. That's no way to live. That's financial slavery. Now, I'm not saying all debt is evil. There's smart debt, the kind you use to invest in things that will grow in value. A business loan that funds expansion, real estate that generates cash flow, education that sharpens your skills, these are investments. But borrowing to consume, that's like planting weeds and expecting a harvest. It doesn't work. If you must borrow, borrow with strategy, not impulse. Ask yourself, will this debt make me richer or poorer? Will it create future income or just future payments? Debt used wrong is financial cancer. It starts small, but if left unchecked, it spreads, it compounds, and it consumes you. But debt used wisely, now that's different. Used wisely, debt can be a tool knot, a trap. It can build leverage, create opportunity, and accelerate growth. But here's the key. You must be disciplined enough to know when to use it and when to avoid it. There was a time when I too got caught in the temptation of consumer credit. I bought things I didn't need because I thought they signaled success. But you know what real success is? Sleeping well at night because you don't owe anyone. Real success is owning things outright, not owing for things you can't afford. It took me time to learn that, but once I did, I made a vow to myself. I would never again go into debt for things that fade, depreciate, or clutter my life. So my advice is simply, if you're in the trap, get out. Make a plan. Cut back. Pay off the smallest debt first to build momentum, then tackle the next one. If you're not in the trap, don't step into it. Save first. Delay gratification. And remember, the goal is not to impress the world, it's to impress your future self. It's an interesting thing about money, especially when it comes suddenly. A windfall feels like a blessing, but if you're not careful, it can become a curse. I've seen it happen time and time again. People win the lottery, receive an inheritance, get a big bonus at work, and for a moment they feel like kings. They believe they've arrived, that life has finally opened the gates of abundance. But here's the trap. Sudden money without wisdom is like gasoline on a fire. It burns fast and leaves nothing but ashes. I once met a man who had received a substantial inheritance. For years he had dreamed about what he would do if money ever came easy. Well, it finally did. But instead of buying assets, he bought liabilities. Instead of securing his future, he upgraded his lifestyle. A new car, a bigger house, extravagant vacations, none of it built anything permanent. Within 5 years, he was broke again, but this time he had the added pain of knowing he once held the key to wealth and let it slip through his fingers. You see, when money comes slowly, wisdom has time to grow alongside it. When you earn a little more each year, you usually learn how to handle it better as you go. But when money comes fast, if the mind hasn't prepared, the wallet empties just as fast as it fills. It's why so many lottery winners end up bankrupt. They gain money but lack the disciplines and the mental framework to manage it. So let me offer a better way. When you receive a windfall, whether it's a bonus, an inheritance, or any unexpected gain, pause. Don't rush. The worst time to make big financial decisions is when you're emotional. And sudden money creates big emotions. Joy, relief, excitement, but also fear and uncertainty underneath the surface. That's why the first step is to breathe, step back, and make a plan. Now here's the plan I recommend. Divide that money into categories. Some for saving, some for investing, and yes, if you like, a small portion for celebrating. But don't let celebration become consumption. I always told myself, if I get extra money, I'll first secure the future, then reward the present, never the other way around. If you reverse that order, you'll find yourself back at square one before you know it. One of the best decisions I ever made was when I received a large commission early in my career. The temptation was there to upgrade my car, move to a bigger house, and show off my success. But I remembered the words of my mentor, don't buy too much too soon. So I invested that money. I bought books, attended seminars, and started small investments that compounded over time. That one decision, made with restraint, changed the trajectory of my financial life. Wealth isn't about how much you make at one time, it's about how much you keep and how wisely you use it. Sudden money is an opportunity, but only if you treat it like one. Don't let a windfall become a pitfall. Put it to work. Turn it into assets that pay you, not toys that drain you. Because in the end, it's not the arrival of money that makes you wealthy, it's the habits you apply once it's in your hands. One of the greatest shifts you can make in life is this. Stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like an investor. The average person spends their whole life buying things that make other people rich. They buy cars from car companies, clothes from clothing brands, gadgets from tech giants, and entertainment from media empires. Every dollar they spend is a vote to increase someone else's wealth. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying life, but if all you do is consume, you'll stay broke, while the producers, the owners, and the investors get rich. Early in my career, I realized I was trapped in that consumer mindset too. I'd get a paycheck, and my first thought was, what can I buy? New clothes? A better car? A nicer television? But one day I looked around and realized something important. None of those things were paying me back. They were just draining my account. I was working hard to own things, but none of those things were working hard to pay me. That's when I decided to make a permanent shift. From that day on, I decided to become an investor. What does that mean practically? It means before you buy, you ask one powerful question. Will this put money into my pocket or will it take money out? If it takes money out, it's a liability. If it puts money in, it's an asset. And the wealthy focus their attention on assets. Let me give you an example. Instead of buying the newest car, which loses value the second you drive it off the lot, consider investing that same money in something that appreciates. A rental property that produces monthly cash flow, a stock that pays dividends, a business that generates profit. These are assets. They don't just sit there. They work for you. They don't ask for payments, they make payments to you. The problem for most people is this. They work all week and then spend all weekend giving their money away to people who have built the very businesses they could have invested in. They buy coffee from coffee companies but never own the stock. They binge movies from streaming platforms but never think to buy shares in the media companies creating the content. They fill their homes with products but never consider owning part of the companies that manufacture those products. And so, the money flows away from them, not toward them. Now here's the truth. Becoming an investor doesn't mean you stop living or enjoying life. It means you start balancing your life differently. For every dollar you spend consuming, make sure you're setting aside dollars to invest. Start small if you need to. A few dollars here, a few dollars there. But make it a habit, because habits compound just like money does. When I first started investing, I didn't have much, but I started anyway. little stock purchase here, a small investment in a venture there, learning real estate on the side. Over time, those small steps built something powerful. Assets that worked while I slept, assets that earned while I rested. And let me tell you, that's a wonderful feeling. To know you're not just working for money, but your money is also working for you. So remember, the secret isn't to stop spending entirely, it's to change what you spend your money on. Don't just buy things that fade away or collect dust. Buy things that grow in value, that produce income, that secure your future. Think like an investor, not just a consumer. Because the real game of wealth isn't about owning more stuff, it's about owning the right stuff. One of the most important lessons I ever learned about money is simple but life-changing. Pay yourself first. It sounds easy, but very few people actually do it. Most folks get a paycheck, and the first thing they think about is paying the landlord, the electric company, the grocery store, the credit card bill, and on and on. By the time they're finished paying everybody else, there's nothing left for themselves. And they tell me, well, if there's anything left over at the end of the month, I'll save that. But guess what? There's never anything left over. That's why you have to reverse the order. Before you pay anybody else, pay yourself, even if it's just a little. I remember when I first started doing this, I was flat broke. I was working hard, trying to get ahead, and it seemed like there was never enough. But one day, I heard a mentor say, if you don't pay yourself first, you'll always be broke, no matter how much you earn. That hit me like a bolt of lightning. So I made a decision. No matter how small my paycheck, I would set aside a portion for myself before I did anything else. At first it was tiny, just a few dollars here and there. But it wasn't about the amount, it was about the habit. I wanted to build a discipline of saving, of investing, of thinking like someone who owned their future instead of just surviving in the present. I treated my savings like a bill that had to be paid non-negotiable. Rent? Yes. Utilities? Sure. But savings? That came first. Over time, as my income grew, so did the amount I saved, but the habit never changed. And here's the beautiful part. When you develop the habit of paying yourself first, you start to find ways to make the rest of your money stretch further. You become more creative, more disciplined, more mindful about where the rest of your dollars go. Suddenly, you're not buying every shiny object that catches your eye. You're thinking long term. You're building a financial cushion. You're investing in assets that grow and compound. I've met people over the years who earned plenty of money but were always broke. Why? Because they never kept any of it. They spent it as fast as they made it. And on the other hand, I've met people who started with very little but developed the habit of saving and investing early. Over time, they built substantial wealth not because they hit the lottery or made $1 million deal, but because they practiced this simple discipline consistently over years. Let me give you a practical image. Imagine if you saved just 10% of everything you earned from the moment you started working. Every paycheck, every bonus, every windfall, you put 10% aside and invested it wisely. Where would you be today? Most people don't do it because they think it's too small to matter at first. But the small things compound. Just like a tree starts with a seed, your wealth starts with a little bit set aside regularly. I often say, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And what you keep must start working for you. Because the goal isn't just to earn money, the goal is to build security, freedom, and options for your future. And that starts when you develop the habit of paying yourself first. I want to talk about something many people misunderstand, and that is the difference between being busy and being valuable. You see, it's easy to fill your day with activity, running from one task to the next, checking off to-do lists, and yet at the end of the day, ask yourself, did I move the needle? Did I create something meaningful? Did I add value? Because here's the truth. Busyness alone will never pay the bills, but value will. I remember when I first started out, I thought working long hours, taking on every job, and being everywhere was the path to success. I was exhausted, but I wasn't growing financially. It took me some time to understand that my income, my financial rewards, are tied directly to how valuable I am, not how busy I am. Employers, clients, customers, they don't pay you for your hours. They pay you for the results you bring and the unique skills and knowledge you offer. The marketplace rewards value. If you can solve problems, create solutions, or make life easier or better for others, money will follow. And how do you become valuable? You become a student of your craft, a lifelong learner. You stretch yourself. You invest time every day in personal growth reading books, attending seminars, learning new skills, expanding your expertise. The richer your knowledge and the sharper your skills, the more indispensable you become. Here's a simple example from my own journey. I used to sell products door to door. It was hard work. And for a time, my income was limited by how many doors I could knock on. But as I invested in learning about sales, leadership, communication, my value grew. I wasn't just selling products anymore. I was teaching others how to sell, coaching teams, creating systems. My income rose not because I worked harder, but because I became more valuable. And it works in every profession. Whether you're an artist, a teacher, a business owner, or an employee, the principle is the same. Increase your value and your income will follow. It's a law of success that your earnings are seldom greater than your personal development. Think about that. If you want to make more money, the first place to look is inside yourself. Being busy can give you a false sense of accomplishment. You might feel tired at the end of the day, but if your activities aren't aligned with increasing your value, you won't build lasting wealth. Instead, focus your energy on becoming more knowledgeable, more skilled, more effective. When you bring that kind of value, you don't have to chase money. It finds you. So I encourage you to stop measuring success by how busy you are and start measuring it by how valuable you are. Invest in yourself, learn continuously, and the marketplace will reward you richly for it. Remember, your income will rarely exceed your personal development. Let me tell you, the journey to financial success begins with awareness. You can't fix what you don't know is broken, and you certainly can't build wealth if you're careless about where your money goes. One of the most powerful habits I developed, and I encourage you to adopt, is tracking every single dollar that passes through your hands. This isn't about obsession or penny pinching. It's about gaining clarity and control. In my early years, I often found myself wondering, where did all my money go? Paychecks came in, bills got paid, but somehow the money just vanished. It was only when I began to write down every expense, no matter how small, that I realized how much was leaking out unnoticed. It was a wake-up call. Once I knew exactly where my money was going, I could make conscious decisions about where to cut back and where to invest. Tracking your dollars isn't just about avoiding waste, it's about empowering yourself. When you have a clear picture of your income, your spending, your debts, and your investments, you gain control over your financial life. This control breeds confidence. You stop feeling like money is a mysterious force slipping through your fingers and start to see it as a tool that you command. Imagine if you're trying to build a house but never check the foundation or the materials you're using. You'd risk collapse. Money works the same way. Without tracking, you're building on unstable ground. With tracking, every dollar is accounted for and you build with purpose. This habit also reveals opportunities. Maybe you're spending on things that don't serve your goals, or maybe there's an expense you can negotiate or eliminate. Tracking highlights these possibilities, and when you take action, your financial health improves steadily. Remember, wealth is not a matter of luck or magic. It's a matter of discipline and awareness. Track your dollars daily, weekly, monthly. Make it a ritual. This clarity will guide your decisions and set you on the path to lasting wealth. Without awareness, control is impossible. Without control, confidence fades. But with all three, you become the master of your financial destiny. Track your money faithfully, and wealth will follow. Mastery over money doesn't begin with millions. It begins with the smallest amounts you can control. It's a lesson many overlook, but it's crucial because money has a way of magnifying your habits. If you can't manage $100 wisely, there's no way you'll handle $10,000 or $100,000 with discipline. The principle is simple. Your behavior with small sums reveals how you'll handle great sums. In my own journey, I learned early that respect for money starts with the smallest units. It's easy to dismiss a dollar or two, but that mindset can lead to reckless spending and missed opportunities. I once knew a man who earned a good income but never saved a dime. He thought his paychecks were too small to make a difference. But when he started saving just $5 a week, he built a habit. That habit grew, and with time, so did his savings and investment capacity. It wasn't about the amount, it was about the discipline. Money magnifies your thinking and behavior. If you're careless with small amounts, you'll be careless with large ones. But if you cultivate patience, respect, and consistency with small sums, you build the muscle that can manage wealth. It's like training for a marathon. You don't start running 20 miles on day one. You build endurance gradually. Every time you save $1, invest a few, or avoid unnecessary spending, you reinforce a mindset that honors money. This mindset prepares you for bigger financial decisions, buying a home, investing in a business, or planning for retirement. Those big opportunities demand steady habits formed long before the dollars multiply. So start small, but think big. Save that $1. Invest those $5. Make each small financial decision a deliberate step toward greater wealth. The discipline with little creates the capacity for much, and that's where true wealth begins. Saving money is a wise habit, but saving alone is not the path to real wealth. I've seen many people diligently put money away in their savings accounts, thinking that's enough to secure their future. Yet, what they don't realize is that money sitting idle loses value over time because of inflation and missed opportunities. The dollars you save today can be worth less tomorrow if they're not working for you. True financial growth comes when your money starts to work for you, not just sit quietly in a bank account. From my own experience, I learned early on that simply saving was not enough. I began to understand the importance of investing in assets, things that generate income or appreciate in value over time. Whether it's stocks, real estate, or owning a part of a business, these are the vehicles that put your money to work. When you invest, you create a system where money earns money, multiplying your wealth even when you're not actively working. I remember the first time I bought a small piece of property. It wasn't glamorous or expensive, but it was an asset. That property began generating rental income, giving me a steady cash flow without me lifting a finger. That was the moment I truly grasped the power of income-generating assets. It changed how I viewed money from something to be saved to something to be strategically grown. The key is to shift your mindset from being a consumer to being an investor. Look for opportunities where your money can grow and return to you instead of just sitting idle. This isn't about gambling or risky ventures. It's about thoughtful, informed investing. Learn about the assets that fit your goals and risk tolerance, and take consistent steps to build a portfolio that earns for you. When your money works for you, you free yourself from the constant pressure of trading time for dollars. You build financial freedom. So don't just invest in assets that generate income. That's the key to creating lasting wealth and retiring wealthy. As your income begins to rise, it's easy to fall into a trap I call lifestyle inflation. You know the pattern well? You get a raise, and suddenly your expenses grow sometimes even faster than your income. A bigger paycheck leads to bigger spending. A nicer car, a bigger house, more expensive dinners, and before you know it, your money vanishes as quickly as it arrived. This cycle keeps many people living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much they earn. I've seen this happen not only with others, but within myself early in my journey. When the money started coming in, the temptation to upgrade my lifestyle was strong. But I learned that true wealth isn't about flashy possessions or keeping up appearances. It's about discipline, humility, and patience. The richest people I know don't feel the need to broadcast their wealth. They let their assets grow quietly in the background. Keeping your lifestyle simple while your wealth builds might feel counterintuitive at first. You might feel like you're missing out, or that you deserve to enjoy the fruits of your labor right away. But here's the secret. Every dollar you save by resisting lifestyle inflation is a dollar that compounds quietly, building a foundation for your financial freedom. It's like planting seeds today for a forest you'll enjoy tomorrow. Humility is your greatest financial strategy. It keeps you focused on what truly matters: long-term wealth and security rather than fleeting pleasures. When you resist the urge to inflate your expenses with every raise, you gain control. You maintain your freedom. You create the ability to say yes to opportunities rather than being enslaved by obligations. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you spend, it's about how much you keep and grow. Stay humble as you prosper, and your future self will thank you. Relying on a single source of income is like standing on one legit's unstable and risky. Life is unpredictable, and the moment you depend entirely on one paycheck, one job, or one business, you're exposing yourself to danger. What if the company downsizes? What if the market shifts? What if health issues arise? These are realities that can strike without warning. I've learned through my own experiences and watching others that true financial security comes when you develop multiple streams of income. It's not about abandoning your primary work, but about expanding your horizons and creating additional channels that bring money in. These streams could be investments that pay dividends, rental properties generating cash flow, side businesses that grow over time, royalties from creative work, or even online ventures. Each of these streams adds a layer of protection and growth. When you start early, even if it's just a small project or investment, you build momentum. Think of income streams like rivers flowing into a reservoir. The more you have, the fuller and more resilient your financial reservoir becomes. One stream can support you day to day, but multiple streams create real wealth and freedom. Building these streams takes patience, learning, and effort, but the payoff is worth it. It shifts your mindset from scarcity and vulnerability to abundance and opportunity. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start today. Even small steps compound. Before long, you'll find your financial future is more secure, your stress lessened, and your life richer, not just in money, but in freedom and peace of mind. There's a lesson I've learned over many years, one that I've seen played out in the lives of countless people, including my own, and that is the power of delaying gratification. It's easy to want everything right now, to chase after the immediate pleasures, the quick thrills, the instant rewards. But if you truly want to build lasting wealth, if you want to retire comfortably and live with freedom, you must be willing to say, "Not now," to some things today. The world we live in is filled with temptations. It's designed for instant gratification, fast food, fast cars, fast entertainment. It's easy to get caught in that current. But here's the truth. When you constantly choose temporary pleasures over long-term goals, you trade future freedom for present comfort. And that trade almost always leaves you broke or struggling. I've seen people who make good money, yet live paycheck to paycheck because they spend it all chasing after the next fleeting delight. Wealthy people don't avoid pleasure. They just understand that the mansion, the cars, the vacations, and the lifestyle they desire will only come after they've built a solid foundation. They delay the little luxuries today so they can say yes to the big freedom tomorrow. This is the discipline that separates those who stay stuck in scarcity from those who create lasting abundance. When I was younger, I didn't always have much. But I learned early on that the choice to save, to invest, to hold off on the things that weren't essential was what allowed me to build a life of financial independence. It meant fewer nights out, fewer impulsive purchases, and more focus on building something that would pay off for years to come. That doesn't mean life is all work and no play. It means you play smarter. You plan for the future by sacrificing a little now. The rewards compound. Money saved and invested grows. Patience and persistence create opportunities that rushing never could. So today, remember this: every time you say "not now" to instant gratification, you're building a brick in your financial foundation. You're buying freedom, peace, and security. Wealth isn't about having everything at once. It's about having the discipline to wait for the right time so you can have everything that truly matters. And that foundation, built with patience and purpose, is what will carry you all the way to the life you dream of. One of the most profound lessons I've come to understand over the years is this. Money is not simply something to be acquired and held onto tightly. It is a tool, a resource meant to flow, to be used not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of others. Generosity is not just an act of kindness. It is a fundamental principle of wealth creation. When you give, you train your mind to operate from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Many people believe that holding on tightly to what they have is the way to grow richer, but the truth is that mindset only leads to fear and limitation. Scarcity thinking keeps you trapped in worry and lack. But when you choose to give, whether it's your time, your resources, or your knowledge, you shift your perspective. You begin to see that there is more than enough to go around. Giving fosters gratitude and humility, and it reminds you that wealth is not just about accumulation, but about contribution. I remember early in my career when money was tight, making the choice to give even a small portion to causes or people in need felt risky. But that discipline of generosity opened doors and relationships I never expected. It created a flow, a circulation of abundance that came back to me in ways that money alone never could. The universe has a way of rewarding generosity. It's a simple law. When you give, you receive a not always in the same form or immediately, but eventually in ways that multiply your prosperity. Giving teaches patience, trust, and a long-term view of wealth. It connects you to others, to your community, and to a purpose larger than yourself. So, if you want to think rich and retire wealthy, remember that generosity isn't just a nice-to have, it's a must-have. Make giving a daily habit, whether it's sharing your time, your wisdom, or your money. It keeps you grounded in abundance and open to receiving more. The more you give, the more you grow. In this way, prosperity becomes a cycle, not a destination. You give, you grow, you give again, and your wealth expands beyond just dollars into a rich life of meaning and fulfillment. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to pause and reflect deeply on what you've heard. These money rules aren't just tips or fleeting advice. They are principles that stand the test of time, built on the foundation of discipline, patience, and mindset. You see, wealth isn't an accident, nor is it a gift bestowed by luck. It's the natural consequence of the choices you make every single day, especially the choices you make with your money. If you take anything away from this, let it be this. Your financial destiny is shaped by your habits and your thinking long before it shows up in your bank account. It begins inside your mind. When you learn to live on less than you earn, avoid the snares of consumer debt, and become an investor rather than just a consumer, you start setting yourself up for lasting success. But it doesn't stop there. You must also pay yourself first, work on becoming valuable, and track every dollar so you know exactly where your money goes. The road to wealth is not paved with impulsive spending or chasing instant gratification. It's built slowly, carefully, and intentionally. It's about mastering the small amounts before the big ones, avoiding lifestyle inflation, and creating multiple streams of income to protect yourself against the unexpected. It's about delaying pleasure now so you can enjoy true freedom later. And perhaps most importantly, it's about embracing generosity not as a burden, but as a powerful tool that attracts more prosperity into your life. I've lived these truths through years of trials and triumphs, and I can tell you from experience, the journey to financial independence is not easy, but it is simple. Simple does not mean easy. It means that the path is clear if you have the discipline to walk it. Every dollar you save, every minute you invest in growing your knowledge, every bit of effort you put into building assets instead of liabilities, that's the work that compounds into freedom. I want you to realize that you are the architect of your financial future. No one else holds the blueprint or controls the building but you. You have the power to choose how you respond to every financial challenge or opportunity. Will you fall into the trap of consumer debt? Will you spend your bonuses on fleeting pleasures, or will you invest them wisely? Will you track your expenses carefully, or let your money slip through your fingers unnoticed? The answers to these questions determine whether you'll look back in your golden years with satisfaction or regret. Now, this isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about committing to a process-owned, small step, one wise decision at a time. Wealth doesn't appear overnight. It's built with consistency, patience, and a mindset that refuses to settle for less. If you miss one day, start again the next. If you stumble, learn and move forward. Your financial success is a marathon, not a sprint. I challenge you to start today. Don't wait for the perfect paycheck, the perfect market conditions, or the perfect moment. The perfect time to take control of your finances is right now. Begin by asking yourself honest questions about your spending habits, your savings, and your investments. Take stock of your debts and make a plan to eliminate those that drain your resources without building your future. Make a commitment to track every dollar. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. When you know where your money goes, you regain control. When you regain control, you open the door to freedom. Commit to living below your means not as a sacrifice, but as a strategy. See every dollar you save as a seed planted for your future harvest. And don't forget to pay yourself first. Even if it's a small amount, start building the habit of saving before anything else. This simple discipline separates the wealthy from the broke. Invest in yourself every day. Learn new skills, grow your value, and seek opportunities to diversify your income streams. This is how you build resilience to know, just financially, but personally. The more you grow, the more you earn, and the more secure your future becomes. And remember, wealth is not just about accumulating money. It's about what you do with it. Giving opens the door to receiving. Generosity breeds abundance. Find ways to give, no matter how small, because the act of giving rewires your mind to think abundantly rather than fearfully. In closing, I want you to picture your life 5, 10, 20 years from now. What does financial freedom look like for you? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? The answers to those questions are waiting for you in the choices you make today. You don't have to be a victim of circumstance or trapped in cycles of scarcity. You can become the master of your money, the creator of your wealth, and the architect of a future filled with opportunity and peace. This is your moment to step up and commit. Don't let another day pass without taking control of your financial life. Start small if you must but start. Write down your goals, create your budget. Track your spending. Begin paying yourself first. Invest in your knowledge. Cut out what doesn't serve you. Build multiple income streams.